All right, this is a brief video to introduce the syllabus and go over the important policies and procedures that you will need to know for this course. My instructor information is here. My office is Harold, Washington. Email and phone number. My office hours are listed there. Be aware that on Thursdays, I will only be in my office hours every other week. So typically it's a good idea to call me to see if I'm here before you come down on Thursdays this semester. The absolute best way to reach me is via email. I check my email multiple times a day. I actually have my email on my phone now. And so if you email me and you email me an easy question that I can answer, I will often get back to you within 2 or 3 minutes because I have very poor impulse control. If you ask me a difficult question, something that I'm going to have to spend some time looking up information about, it may be a little bit more like 24 hours. Sometimes even longer than that. If I determine that the content of the email is not something that is urgent. You may call me, but I will only answer the phone if I'm in the office. And if you leave me a voicemail, I will probably not get back to you. I don't check my voicemail very often, and when I do, usually it is too late for me to answer your question. So the absolute 100% best way to get a hold of me is to send me an email. If you have something that you're going to need to talk to me over the phone about, a really good way to get that to happen is to send me an email and set up an appointment to talk to me on the phone. That way you can guarantee when you call I will be here. Moodle messages, I use Moodle extensively. Obviously it's an online course. Moodle messages, be aware that if you send me a Moodle message, my response is going to go to your CSU email. In fact, I've already sent out a welcome email to the entire course, or to the entire class, that probably went to your CSU email. If you did not get that course communication, send me an email to let me know. That way I can add whatever your preferred email is to the class list so you can be on those future communications. The textbook is here. You will need the textbook for the course. Generally speaking, this course is going to give you information about social psychology. We will learn about critically evaluating scientific evidence and some of the procedures used in social psychological research. I teach experimental psychology, and I use this class to provide a foundation so that you can be successful in experimental psychology. So much of the work that we're going to be doing in this class is really laying that groundwork for your future success in experimental. This is an online course. I will post all the course materials on Mondays. They will all be due on Sundays at midnight. I'm having papers due a little bit later because I realize it's kind of would be difficult for you to turn in a paper and post the discussions and get your quizzes done all by Sundays at midnight. All the deadlines are available on the course calendar on the syllabus. Be aware, we'll talk about this when we talk about discussion posts, that posting to the discussions at the very last minute is not a good way to have a discussion. Discussion posts are going to require that you post a couple times during the week. Earlier the better, and we'll talk about that. Disability, if you are a student who the disability statement applies to, please contact me as soon as possible so that we can get you that accommodation. Course grading. So the grading is based on the quizzes, the discussion boards, and the papers. All these due dates are written on the last page of the syllabus. This is a points-based class. You earn points for completing tasks, and your final grade at the end of the semester is just the accumulation of the number of points that you have. So theoretically, everyone can get an A. I would never curve the class in a way that's going to hurt you. You can work together outside of class if you like to study and whatnot, but just be aware that papers need to be completed individually. All papers will be run through turnitin.com to check for plagiarism, so just be aware of that. If you plan on using a paper that you yourself wrote, that's already been through turnitin.com, you need to let me know in advance, and I will let you know whether or not that's going to be acceptable. Generally speaking, there is no extra credit in this class. It's relatively straightforward. but it does require you to stick with the schedule and to turn things in on time and complete things on time. There will probably be some research participation extra credit later on in the semester, and I'll make an announcement when that happens. The best way to keep track of your grade is to keep a running tally of the number of points that you've lost. If you look back at the grade breakdown, right now on day 1, no one has lost any points. This means everyone has the total points possible in the class. If you say, for example, lose 2 points on the first exam and get an 8 out of 10, that means the highest number of points you can earn is 278, which is in the A range. 268, which is in the A range. If you lose more than 27 points, that is the difference between 270 and 243, then your grade will drop down to the B range and so on. So if you keep a running tally of the number of points you've lost, you will always know exactly where your grade is. I don't give updates on the grade. I do not use the academic warning system. I do post all the grades on Moodle. If you disappear, if you stop participating in class, I will not track you down. I have many students every semester, typically 100 to 150 students, and I just don't have the resources to track down all the students who disappear. On the other hand, if you are struggling, if you are having a hard time, and you come to see me, you call me, you email me, you set something up, I will do everything I can to help you pass the class. But it is up to you to come and seek that help. So I have down here the course objectives and learning outcomes. So generally speaking, the course will have a web lecture every week. It'll be about 20 or 30 minutes. It'll be me expanding on the information for that week's chapter. This will be helpful to you in terms of prepping for the quizzes. Now, these will be YouTube videos. You do not necessarily have to sit down and watch the YouTube video. It'll be useful to you to watch it, but oftentimes you may just be able to listen to it and periodically glance down. So this is the kind of thing where you might be able to, put this in your headphones while you're doing dishes at night, or while you're folding laundry, or while you're doing something else. So I've tried to make this course as user-friendly as possible in that regard. There are 13 quizzes. They're worth 10 points each. They are multiple choice, and they cover material from the text and from the lecture. The quizzes, I do quizzes in sort of a unique way. You can take the quizzes as many times as you want during the week. So the quiz will open on a Monday and it will close on Sunday at midnight. And you can take the quiz as many times as possible, as many times as you want during the week. Now, there's some caveats. So the quizzes aren't going to give you the same questions every time you take it. There's also a time limit on the quizzes. So you don't have, I believe I'm giving you 12 minutes to take the quiz, right? So you have 10 questions, 12 minutes to take it. So the strategy for the quiz is the best way to approach it. Read the assigned chapters as best you can, view the online lectures, listen to the online lectures, then take the quiz, right? You don't want to be looking up every single answer because you won't have time for that. Just take the quiz. If you can quickly look something up, look it up. Once the quiz is over and you've submitted it, the system will tell you which questions you got wrong. There is an 8-minute window after you submit a quiz where you can't take the quiz. It forces you to wait 8 minutes. During that 8 minutes, what you need to do is look up the answers to the quizzes, to the questions that you got wrong. So write down the answers to the questions you got wrong, and then go back and take the quiz again, right? And this is a procedure that will allow you to get 100% on the quiz if you desire, right? So if you miss a question, that means you probably didn't get the information the first time around, and this allows you to go back to the book, look up the answer, go back to the web lecture, look up the answer, write down the answers, and then ultimately get a good, decent grade on the quiz. You should be shooting for at least a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on every single quiz. But if you follow this procedure and if you take the quiz multiple times during the week, you should end up with 8s and 9s and 10s on most of the quizzes. Weekly discussions. So each week there are 13 discussion board assignments. This is for you to collaborate with your other students. They're worth 5 points. They will be on Moodle. I really only give points to what I call substantive posts. These are things that are relevant to the topic, relevant to course materials. They're directly related to the prompts that I give you for the discussion. And they facilitate the discussion. They push the discussion along, right? Things like good idea or I agree, simple things like, oh, thank you so much for sharing your interesting experience. Like these kinds of things I don't really count as substantive posts. There is no set frequency of posts. There is no set number of posts you must have. Generally speaking, the more posts you make, the more likely it is you are going to get full points. If you post one, it better be a really good post because you're probably not going to have all 5 of the points on that one post. So the more posts you post, the better. I grade the posts using the following rubric. So promptness, so posts that are made earlier in the week are going to be weighted more heavily than posts that are made later in the week, right? You can't have a discussion if everyone is submitting a post 5 minutes before midnight on the deadline, okay? So promptness, delivery, are you using proper grammar or are you, writing the post like you write a text to your friend? Relevance, expression, all of these things. Each one of these is worth a quarter of a point, and I just kind of go through each post and I look at this rubric and I assign each post a grade based on this rubric here, right? So if you're looking to get a full 5 points for your posts, you're going to want to try and have substantive posts where you're responding frequently, you're using grammatically correct language, you're keeping the discussion to the topic, you're being clear and concise, these kinds of things. And if you make a few posts during the week and you keep to that rubric, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be getting a 4 and a 5 on each of the discussion posts. Typically where students lose points on discussions is they're either posting late, and there are no late discussion posts allowed. Late discussion posts were graded a 0. So that's one way students lose points. Or they're making sort of 1 or 2 sentence posts at the end of the week that aren't really contributing anything to the discussion. And those will be graded lower on the rubric, 1 or 2 points, and you'll end up losing points there. There will be 3 written papers. There'll be 4 to 5 page maximum. Typically what the papers will have you do is read an article and then write a response based on that article. The trick to the papers is to look at the guidelines that I post. If you follow the guidelines, you are guaranteed to have earned a C on the paper, right? Students lose the most points on these papers by just not following directions. So when the papers come out, make sure you go over the guidelines and look at them. Write about what I ask you to write about, cover the aspects of the guidelines that I ask you to cover, and you will do well on the papers. The final paper is similar to the written papers 1 and 2, but in the final paper you will actually have to go out and find research articles on your own. And there will be separate paper introduction videos for the papers as they come up. Late paper policy. Papers are penalized 5% for every 24 hours that they're late, not including weekends, or until you turn the assignment in or you've lost all possible points. I do this because turning in a paper late means you have more time to complete the paper than students who turn it in on time. And I want to incentivize students to turn their papers in on time. Academic misconduct. Plagiarism is the big problem in this class. This is both in terms of discussion posts, but also in terms of written papers. All the papers will get sent through turnedin.com. I read every single discussion post that gets made, and it's typically pretty easy to spot when someone is copying and pasting something out of the internet. So please try to refrain from doing that. Any evidence of copying and pasting from the internet and discussion posts, that post will receive a 0. The course calendar at the bottom of the syllabus has all of the due dates for the entire semester. This should help you to organize your week, and you will know exactly when everything is due. So if you have any questions about the syllabus, feel free to email me. After the syllabus video, continue on to the next video about how to be a successful online student.